Two noodle trucks. The love of those who have never said love is often romantic, often the most simple but profound love. They don't get excited, don't criticize each other, don't argue. The question is that too boring? Not sure anymore. Because who knows tomorrow? Silence is a choice. Difference is also an option. Getting lost for a moment is simply a choice. That life, maybe on a very ordinary day, when around that calm love there are only familiar repeating circles, there will be a different choice, needing people to have the courage to grasp it, to create something special. That's it, even if it's only for a short moment of sleep, there are still many options in how to love. To get lost for a moment, on a very ordinary day. When he woke up early in the morning, he was restlessly pacing in front of the door. In the yard, she is still preparing big pork bones, some radishes, and carrots to boil water for 2 trucks selling noodles. Everything is still going on as usual, nothing special from her. Nor did she notice his unusual hangover. Looks like he's trying to tell her something. Then I want to say it again, and then I stop. Originally from the countryside to the city to earn a living for more than 20 years, they got married together and had 5 children. The oldest child just finished high school this year, and the youngest is only 5 years old, does not go to kindergarten, but follows her all day long. In the past, when she was newly married, she worked as a kitchen assistant in a popular restaurant near the inn, and he worked as a factory worker. The job is also quite precarious, the income is not stable. After a while, when her first child was born, she decided to cook popular noodles at home and then push the cart to sell at night. At first, because he still had a job at the factory, he only helped her with errands. Later, he also quit his job at the factory to sell noodle soup with his sister. 1 car per person, sold about a kilometer apart, from 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon until well past midnight. When it's time to clean up, push the car back. Your customers are mainly students, workers, poor workers, or some residents living in alleys in the area. In the past few years, the cost of raw materials has increased, and after thinking about it, they decided to increase the selling price from $10,000 to $12,000. At first, the 2 brothers and sisters were also afraid that the guests would be less. But then, seeing that no one questioned the price, it took a long time for them to decide to raise it. Her temperament is good, easy to talk to and enthusiastic, so everyone appreciates her. Besides, foodies as well as sellers, being low-income people together, they understand each other better than anyone else. Perhaps due to the busy life of making a living, both he and she hardly ever pay attention to spending time alone and for each other. In the 20 years since their marriage, not a single year had they celebrated their wedding anniversary. He can't remember the date of marriage, and she has never noticed the date of marriage. I just remember it was a rainy day long ago. A simple wedding ceremony, a few trays in front of both sides. So they became husband and wife and lived together until now. No language, no contradictions, no comparisons between jealousy and loss. Many times, she and I both think our marriage is a lucky thing. Not because of material things, of course, but because of the satisfaction in the many years since the moment they joined together in a life. Husband and wife, living together is not always for love, but also a fulcrum, responsibility, and sharing in everything, even the smallest. He stood up, breaking free of his uneasiness, and walked over to her. "Let me cut the radish for you. You take the chives over there to drain. What's the matter with you today?" Then, "Why, tell me, I've never seen you falter. I'll probably sell a car tomorrow. Then in the evening, I asked you to sell it for me, my wife and I went to the movies." "What? Where are you, sir?" "Well, Ton, a student often eats by his car, he gives a pair of tickets. Let's give it to the children, but it's weird to take a break as a wholesaler. Then ask me that, let's see what happens, and then calculate. You didn't say anything, neither did you." There was something very unpredictable on her face right now. There was a mixture of nervousness and a little wonder at the strange suggestion he had just made. "I have never seen a movie in the theater." When she was young, she thought she didn't have the conditions or the time to do it, although sometimes she was excited by the stories told by young guests. I'm not old now, but I'm not too young to think about dating my husband either. The genuine, rural features in her sister are still intact after nearly 20 years of marriage, even though she has become the mother of 5 children. It's hard, just watching a movie is hard enough. I don't know if it's because of the pressure of life, making money, so I'm used to it. Now I'm not used to love anymore. It turns out that this dry husband is also cute at times. She thought, then suddenly smiled again. Last night, Ton gave him a pair of movie tickets. Tell her uncle to ask her to go see it. I bought it but haven't seen it yet, she said goodbye, no longer in the mood. The boy is like a child in the family, he has been eating at my noodle truck for 3 years now. It's sad, I'm sad too. He took the ticket to make it happy, put it in the money box of the noodle truck and continued selling. He did not think and did not know what to do next, until he pushed the cart home at just over 1 o'clock in the morning. He was still thinking about how to deal with 2 movie tickets. Maybe it was for the 2 older children to let them see, but then he thought about what Ton said when he gave him a pair of tickets, I invite you to go see it. It was something very different, completely different from the life of the couple before. He thought about asking her to go see it. That's right, over 40 years old, nearly 20 years old, so as a husband and wife, he never took the initiative to ask her to go anywhere. Get married, then arrange your life, settle down a bit, then have a baby. One child after another was born, one after another, putting aside all the so-called private time of both spouses. Naturally, he found himself a somewhat lousy husband. Married people for so many years, never once took them to the movies or travel somewhere. Yet, she didn't even blame her. Now that the 2 are not young, even watching a movie like the way children do when they fall in love, naturally, becomes strangely difficult. He thinks about the past. Without her, would my life have been such hard but peaceful days? She adjusted her clothes, then stood in front of the mirror for a long time. If only 10 years ago, if she didn't do this job of selling noodle soup, staying up late at night, her skin probably wouldn't be so bad. He stood in the distance, looked at her, then smoothed the black t-shirt he was wearing. T, the youngest child of the 2, from this afternoon kept chirping and telling his friends that, tonight, my parents have a date. The movie starts showing at 8 o'clock in the evening. It's been a long time since she was in the back of his car at that hour. If it's a normal day like any other, then both you and your sister are more than a kilometer apart, each person will sell in a separate noodle truck and always prepare meals for guests. Sometimes it's not even time to quickly wipe the sweat off the face. Saigon tonight to her is a different Saigon. This land was originally not the homeland of the 2, but it was the place where the 2 tied their lives into a common life, and tied to many other lives every day. For love? For family? Or simply for each other, may not need to be explained clearly, just like that, until the finite moment of life. He wanted to go a little slower, it was still early and it felt strange. The lights covered the city at night. Reflected on the pavement was the silhouettes of 2 people slowly carrying each other away. The silhouette shows that they are together, does not say they are old or still young, and does not fully describe how happy they are with their lives in the present. Love is something hidden in all forms. Not to hold, but to feel. Sometimes, we are too busy with thousands of ways to make a living, forgetting how to show love on the face, even though we never forget that we are trying for someone. It was a complete explanation of love, sincerity, and kindness. Everything, in you and in her, can just be so quiet, let life flow. Will anything change after the couple's choices in the story? I think not. The rotation of the old rhythm of life will bring them back to the reality of living. But wait. Aren't the romantic moments they just experienced the same reality? So, if you are living a boring life, sometimes let your feet get lost even for a beat, spend some alone time with the person next to you. Everything may not be enough to make a difference, but it will make your life so much more meaningful.